Welcome, everyone. You know, I've spent decades listening to people's problems, and let me tell you, low self-esteem is at the root of so many of them. It's like this dark cloud hanging over you, holding you back from living your best life. Today, we're diving deep into 10 mental habits that are absolutely sabotaging your self-worth. These habits are sneaky. They creep in when you least expect it and start to chip away at your confidence. But here's the good news. Once you're aware of these habits, you can start to break free from their grip. Let's get started and see how we can turn things around. This first one is a real self-esteem killer, negative self-talk. It's that little voice inside your head that's always putting you down, telling you you're not good enough, smart enough, attractive enough. You fill in the blank. Now, we all have those negative thoughts from time to time, but when it becomes a constant barrage, it's like poison to your self-worth. You start believing those negative messages, and that's when the real damage is done. So how do you combat this? You've got to start challenging those negative thoughts. When that voice pops up with a nasty comment, ask yourself, would I say this to a friend? Chances are the answer is a resounding no. You'd be kind and supportive to a friend, so why treat yourself any differently? Instead of focusing on your flaws, start emphasizing your strengths. What are you good at? What do you like about yourself? Write them down, say them out loud, remind yourself of your positive qualities every single day. Remember, the way you talk to yourself matters. Choose to be your own cheerleader, not your worst critic. Let's be honest, we live in a world where comparison is rampant. Thanks to social media, we're constantly bombarded with images of other people's seemingly perfect lives, their amazing vacations, their picture-perfect families. It's easy to get caught up in the comparison trap and start feeling inadequate. But here's the thing, comparison is a thief of joy. It robs you of your happiness and makes you feel like you're not good enough no matter how much you achieve. The truth is, everyone is on their own journey, facing their own challenges and celebrating their own victories. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on your own progress. Think about how far you've come, the obstacles you've overcome, and the goals you've achieved. Celebrate your own wins, big and small. Remember, you are unique and you have something special to offer the world. Don't let the noise of other people's lives drown out your own. Now, striving for excellence is a good thing, but perfectionism, that's a whole other beast. Perfectionism is about setting impossibly high standards for yourself that are almost impossible to meet. And when you inevitably fall short, you beat yourself up about it. Perfectionism is fueled by fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of procrastination and self-doubt because you're so afraid of making a mistake. The key to overcoming perfectionism is to embrace good enough. That doesn't mean settling for mediocrity. It means accepting that nothing and no one is perfect. It's about learning from your mistakes, giving yourself permission to be human, and recognizing that done is better than perfect. So next time you find yourself agonizing over every little detail, take a step back and ask yourself, is this really necessary? Or am I letting perfectionism hold me back? Chapter 4, Overgeneralization. Don't let one bad day define you. Overgeneralization is like taking a single negative event and turning it into a never-ending pattern of defeat. You spill coffee on your shirt in the morning and suddenly you're thinking, I'm always messing things up. I can't do anything right. Sound familiar? This kind of thinking is not only inaccurate, but it's also incredibly damaging to your self-esteem. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where you start expecting the worst and stop believing in your ability to succeed. The next time you catch yourself overgeneralizing, stop and challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this really always true? Are there times when I haven't messed up? What's the evidence that contradicts this thought? Remember, a single event, even a negative one, doesn't define you. Don't let one setback derail your entire day, week or life. Chapter 5. Catastrophizing. Stop expecting the worst-case scenario. Catastrophizing is like living in a constant state of what if. What if I fail this test? What if I lose my job? What if something terrible happens? It's like your mind is a runaway train racing towards the worst possible outcome. This kind of thinking creates a lot of unnecessary anxiety and stress. It's like carrying a heavy weight on your shoulders, constantly bracing yourself for disaster. But here's the thing. Most of the time, the things we worry about never even happen. So how do you stop catastrophizing? First, challenge those anxious thoughts. Ask yourself, is this really likely to happen? What's a more realistic outcome? Second, focus on what you can control. You can't predict the future, but you can prepare for it. Take action to mitigate risks and focus on what you can do to create a positive outcome. Remember, worrying about things you can't control is like trying to hold back the tide. It's exhausting and ultimately futile. Chapter 6. Personalization. Stop taking the world on your shoulders. Personalization is the tendency to blame yourself for things that are outside of your control. Your friend is in a bad mood and you immediately think, what did I do wrong? A project at work goes south and you assume it's your fault, even though you weren't the only one involved. This kind of thinking can lead to feelings of guilt, shame, and inadequacy. It's like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, constantly feeling responsible for everything and everyone around you. The key to overcoming personalization is to recognize that you're not responsible for other people's emotions or actions. You can't control how others feel or what they do. You can only control your own reactions. So next time you find yourself blaming yourself for something that's not your fault, take a step back and ask yourself, is this really my responsibility? Did I have any control over this situation? Chances are the answer is no. Chapter 7. Mind reading. You don't have a crystal ball. Mind reading is a dangerous game. It's when you assume you know what other people are thinking, even though they haven't explicitly told you. You see someone frown, and you instantly assume they're mad at you. You send a text message and don't get an immediate response, and you spiral into a frenzy of anxiety, convinced they're ignoring you. The problem with mind reading is that it's often inaccurate. We project our own insecurities and fears onto others, creating stories in our heads that have no basis in reality. This can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and a whole lot of unnecessary drama. Instead of trying to read minds, focus on communicating openly and directly. If you're unsure about something, ask. It's much better to clarify than to assume. And remember, you can't control what other people think or feel, but you can control how you react to them. Chapter 8. Labeling. Ditch the negative labels, embrace your strengths. Labeling is a form of self-sabotage. It's when you reduce yourself to a single negative word or phrase. I'm a failure, I'm unlovable, I'm a mess. These labels become self-fulfilling prophecies, shaping how you see yourself and how you interact with the world. The problem with labels is that they're limiting. They box you in and prevent you from seeing your full potential. They ignore your strengths, your accomplishments, and all the complexities that make you who you are. Instead of labeling yourself, focus on your strengths and your positive qualities. Remind yourself of your accomplishments, your talents, and the things you're good at. Challenge those negative labels and replace them with more accurate and empowering affirmations. Remember, you are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are capable of growth, change, and achieving great things. Chapter 9. Should statements. Stop shoulding all over yourself. Should statements are the language of guilt and self-criticism. I should be more successful. I should be a better parent. I should be thinner, richer, happier. Sound familiar? These statements create unrealistic expectations and set you up for disappointment. The problem with should statements is that they are often based on external pressures and societal expectations, rather than on your own values and desires. They disconnect you from your authentic self and leave you feeling inadequate. Instead of shoulding all over yourself, try replacing those statements with I choose or I want statements. I choose to focus on my health. I want to spend more time with my family. This subtle shift in language can make a world of difference in how you feel about yourself and your choices. Remember, you are not obligated to live up to anyone else's expectations, but your own. Chapter 10. Emotional reasoning. Don't let your feelings dictate your reality. Emotional reasoning is a tricky one. It's when you allow your feelings to dictate your reality. You feel anxious, so you assume something bad is going to happen. You feel sad, so you conclude that your life is terrible. The problem with emotional reasoning is that feelings are not facts. They are temporary, fleeting, and often influenced by external factors. Just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean it's true. So how do you combat emotional reasoning? First, learn to identify your emotions. What are you feeling? Where do you feel it in your body? Second, challenge the validity of those emotions. Is there evidence to support this feeling? What's a more balanced perspective? Remember, you are not your emotions. You have the power to choose how you respond to them. Don't let your feelings control you. Control your feelings. Listen, breaking free from these mental habits takes time and effort. It's not a magic overnight fix, but I promise you it's worth it. When you start challenging those negative thoughts and replacing them with more positive, empowering beliefs, you'll be amazed at the transformation that takes place in your life. Remember, you are worthy of love, respect, and happiness. Don't let these self-sabotaging habits hold you back any longer. Start today by choosing one of these habits and committing to changing it. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you next time.